Steal my money, take my house, put me into debt. Now it's time for me to ruin your life. My ex stole from me close to 90k euros, which I saved up for 9 years, and when I took her to court, I lost due to lack of evidence. At the moment, I felt destroyed and lost it all. She even sued me for emotional damages, and I had to pay 55k euros. So I was forced to sell my house and take a big loan from the bank. I stayed at a friend and helped me find some good lawyers, and we just found an amazing one. In one day, he helped me so much and even helped me get the info of who took money from my bank account. Something was wrong. 29th of June, a transaction happened in my name. I never made it. I was not in the country at the time. Well, would you look at that? I was ready to get back into court when I found out that she bought my house. Well, I have a safe that I never told her about hidden in the bathroom behind the cabinet. Well, she ruined my life. Why not ruin her even more? So I had an accomplice that helped me buy some quote-unquote powder, if you know what I mean, worth about 400 euros, and used a friend to hide it there. The safe has a 4-digit code, that being 000, never got to change it to something else. And before taking her to court again, I had that same friend who hid the powder turn her in. It took about a week for the cops to receive a mandate to search the house. They found nothing in the first 2 hours, and they wouldn't if my friend forgot to leave the safe cover open. That 400 euro worth of powder are equal to a 5k euro fine and 12 years of prison. Well, I'm not done yet. Court time again. I had my lawyer get the footage from when the money from the bank was transferred, and also I had a document showing that I was not in the country at the time. We also found out the account to which the money was sent to. The name was that of my ex. Well, look how the tables have just turned. My lawyer also demanded payment for emotional damage, all the money that was stolen, the house, and also money equivalent to 2 times the debt I had in the bank, which is equal to about 140k euros. The look on her face when everything came down crashing on her was totally worth it. And on top of the 12 years from powder possession, she received an additional 25 years for theft and false testimony. Enjoy it, bitch.
Next story.
Wife cheated, so I tricked her into publicly admitting to having the affair and herpes. Okay, so I'm the coworker that encouraged him to post this. Unfortunately, your account has to be 7 days old to post here, so I gifted him an alternative I made. For a joke about a month ago, this story is about 12 years old. I told it to one of my coworkers yesterday and he said I should share it to Reddit. Today he again nudged me, so here we are having drinks before the 4-day weekend and my writing is complete. So first time here and hi y'all. Sorry if there are typos. I included a TLDR at the end. In college, I met the woman who I thought was my one. We dated for about 2 years and had a big-ass wedding after a 10-month engagement. Her family was pretty well-to-do in a small southern town. We were both continuing our educations, and I was also working to support us. I was pursuing a master's in engineering while she was finishing her doctorate in anthropology. Over the summer, an opportunity came up for her to make some extra money going as an aide on a religious studies trip to Jamaica. I didn't hesitate when she asked me about it. I mean, she was going to get to visit Jamaica and get paid for it. I saw no downside other than missing her being at home for 6 weeks. Little did I know at the time, but she had been fucking the professor. He had hung out with us, smoked my devil's lettuce, and drank my fucking beer. I considered him a friend, who arranged the trip for a couple months, and it was a getaway for them to bang all over the island. I, clueless and happy, went about the weeks while she was gone, taking extra shifts so I could match what she made in our account and surprise her. What a dipshit, right? One of the students from the trip actually seeked me out to clue me in. I didn't believe him until I started looking for evidence on my own. I broke down and checked her texts while she was sleeping and nothing was there. There were a few voice messages, so I decided to listen. And there it was, a message from that giant asshole saying how exciting it was that I almost caught them. I opened up her laptop and hit the emails after that. It was piles and piles of shit, making fun of me for not knowing, fucking in our bed and laughing about it. There was so much and I was so heartbroken, still too hurt to take any action. I was lost. I had no idea what to do, so I sat on it for a couple weeks and acted as normally as I could. I noticed everything now. I felt so stupid for not seeing it before. So many signs. One stuck out in particular. I noticed that our stash of homemade devil's lettuce lube, if you've never tried it, I highly recommend giving it a go, was going down even though we weren't having sex. It was obvious they were also using the fruits of my labor to get off more effectively. This really pissed me off. Like unreasonably so, Hulk fucking mad. It finally all hit me. I was a goddamn joke to these assholes, and they were using the lube I made and fucking in my bed. I didn't hurt anymore. I just wanted to make them hurt. So, while she was studying at the library, I made a new batch of lube. I put enough devil's lettuce in it for it to smell like normal, but I also added some poison ivy from our backyard to the mixture, and after refilling the spray bottle we used for application, I waited. A few days go by, and I'm working extra so I can be out of the house more, and bam, bait taken. That night, after she goes to sleep, my plan goes into action. I sneak her phone away and delete my contact while replacing his phone number in his contact as mine. I go to bed but can't sleep because it feels like I'm 5 and tomorrow is Christmas. Dawn arrives and she's in the shower. I get a text saying, "I'm super itchy. Are you okay?" This was a text from her thinking she is texting the affair partner. "Now, Lord, now is my time," I replied. "Look, I thought it had cleared up, but I guess I had a flare-up. I'm sorry, but I've got herpes, and I guess you do now too." I heard this bitch squeak in the shower. I'm covering my mouth, damn near losing it. I went on to tell her that it was time to end things now. A new semester was about to start, and I kind of have a little crush on another TA. I wanted her mad. This is a woman that never got told no growing up and never had to deal with rejection, let alone from a balding dude in his 50s with herpes. When she got out of the shower, it was obvious she had been crying, but I could see the anger in her eyes. I could see how uncomfortable she was, squirming at the table drinking coffee and mulling the situation over. Another little nudge is what she needed. The reply she got, which I sent, to her pages and pages of anger and sadness was, "Thanks for the good times, but can you keep this a secret between us? I don't want to ruin my chances with anyone else." She's flush with anger now. Just seething, she gathered her keys and headed out the door without even saying goodbye. I knew where she was going. I booted up her laptop and set it to reformat, deleting her dissertation and any notes pertaining to it before following her to campus. I parked a few lots over and rush over to his office, where I find her screaming at him for giving her herpes. "There's lots of people there, professors, aides, students, other faculty. I'm dying." He is beyond embarrassed and confused as fuck. She is ugly, crying in front of her peers. I'm in heaven. I didn't even care that people were going to think I had herpes too. The fallout was apocalyptic in their department. He lost his job due to code of conduct at the university. We got divorced the following year. State law was, we had to be separated for 1 full year before being granted a divorce. I got to keep most of the assets, primarily savings and not a ton, but I worked for it. She never finished her doctorate and went on to be a perpetually pregnant housewife that sells Herbalife on Facebook, and he teaches high school now. It took a few years for it all to unfold, but watching it was glorious. TLDR, wife cheated. So, I made her think she had herpes and engineered a social situation for her to out her affair publicly herself.
Next story.
I wanted my father to understand I wasn't coming. This is my first time posting. Sorry for the formatting. My parents divorced when I was in 1st grade. Not only did my dad disappear like Houdini, he stole my mother's ATM card to her personal account and drained her dry. My mother, being the saint she is, didn't even bat an eye. She still was cordial to him and never said a negative word about him. To me, my dad, albeit abandoning us, was still my hero. From 1st through 5th grade, I had the usual abandoned by dad stories. Maybe 1 or 2 visits in a year and a 50 times of me waiting by the front window with my suitcase packed to go to his house and him never showing up. My mom, through all of this, was supportive and never said an ill word about him, so he still stayed my hero. When I was in 6th grade, my mother finally remarried, and my father, who only had a picture of me at 8 months old in his wallet, went ballistic. Did I mention he never paid child support? He would use his father's social, they had the same name, to get away with it. After my mom remarried, he let it be known that I was now my stepdad's responsibility. He cut off communication with me until I graduated high school. He didn't attend my graduation or send a card. What he did do was write me an email thanking God he no longer had to pay child support. He didn't anyway. What really broke me was his ruthless and brutal attack on my mother, attacking her weight, looks, teeth, and blaming any perceived negative traits that I had on her. For the first time, I realized what a cowardly piece of shit he was. I responded, in kind. He told me I was no child of his and that I was a waste. After that, I vowed that I would hurt him. 10 years later, my father, not interested in my wedding or my son, reached out to me. You see, he is a diabetic, and one of his organs were failing, and he didn't have long. He's too far down on the list, and he needed someone in our family to donate. Nuclear revenge activated. I answered his email. I met up with him and pretended that I didn't hate his guts. I went and got tested to see if I was a match. I was. Did the therapy and met with doctors and his therapist. We scheduled the surgery. The day of the surgery, we meet at the hospital. I smiled in his face and let him know that I wouldn't be going through with the surgery. I watched the confusion line his face. I told him, I just wanted you to know that you're no father to me and you're a waste. I left the hospital and drove home. My mom was pretty annoyed with me that I took it that far. My father is dying and I will be attending the funeral out of spite, and I will let everyone know what a piece of shit he was. Edit 1. This really blew up. For those questioning my actions, I will give further detail. My father is semi-obsessed with my mother. His attachment to us was only in his perceived ability to get back with my mother. In the beginning, he would call and make plans to see us, and just not show up. My mom would have to make up excuses. He has been married over 4 times and supports and loves his stepkids without a thought to us. Once my mother remarried, he was done with us. He kept in contact with my mother through email but had no interest in talking to his children. I have reached out to him before, to invite him to my graduation, to let him know of my marriage and that he was a grandfather. All I got back was pictures of his new wife's kiddos, upon getting to know him after agreeing to donate. I went to one of his therapy sessions at his request. There I heard the story of the true reason he contacted me. I listened as he lamented about his impending death, how he was resigned to his fate, only to have his new wife remind him of his former kids and maybe one of them will donate. And he got excited because he had forgotten all about us, and it was like hope renewed. Do you know how shitty it is to listen to the person who is responsible for your very existence talk about forgetting your very existence? Like I was a pair or sturdy old boots that gathered dust in the back of the hall closet. Now rediscovered I was to be worn to go shovel shit. I knew then I wasn't going to give him anything. Thanks for the silver and gold. Edit 2. I'm not worried about a will or being left anything. He had nothing to leave. He's the male equivalent of a gold digger. He only marries women who can take care and support him as he mooches off of them. He stole thousands from my mother, and she didn't press charges because she didn't want her children's father in jail. My mother was his first wife, and he learned his lesson not to have kids of his own, but to move into ready-made families. His ex-wives and their children have nothing nice to say about him. When I told him I wasn't going through with it, he understood exactly why. He nodded his head in understanding. I already was approached for money to contribute to the funeral, and I will.
That's all the stories for this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share with your friends. I'm a bit shy and prefer to stay behind the scenes, so I create these faceless Reddit story videos to bring you the best stories without stepping in front of the camera. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.